Hi, my name is Charles Firecat Burnell. I'm an artist, and most recently I've become a published author. I published my first book, Aimless, on February 29th of this year, 2020. Now, as we all know, this year has been insane. Mayhem, waking up in the Twilight Zone every morning is basically what it feels like. A lot of people have been experiencing different types of dysphoria. And to explain what that means, I looked it up. The definition of dysphoria is a state of dissatisfaction, anxiety, restlessness, or fidgeting. I think that dumbs it down a little bit. Dysphoria affects a lot of different people, especially right now, when we're all, well, a lot of people are in a heightened state of anxiety. Depression is on the rise. Nobody really feels like they're in control of their life right now, and it's pretty scary. It's hard to be an artist, or a writer, or a musician, or a performer, or anyone that's in the arts as a career in the middle of a pandemic. It's hard for everybody in the middle of a pandemic. It's especially hard for marginalized communities. And the LGBTQ people suffer just as much. In some cases, it's harder for them than it would be if you were not in the LGBTQ community. If you were not in a marginalized community, maybe you are not feeling the effects of this pandemic as strongly, but we're all in it together. And I just want to shout out to everybody that's experiencing any kind of dysphoria, anxiety, depression. You are not alone. My book, Aimless, is the first book in 3 to share my experiences. It's a fictionalized memoir, and I hope that you enjoy reading it. I hope that by reading Aimless, it will help you to better understand what dysphoria looks like for somebody that's experiencing it as gender dysphoria. That is not the only kind of dysphoria, but specifically what I am addressing as gender dysphoria in my book. And I want to read you an excerpt from Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is entitled The Devil in School. And I feel like this is relevant in some parallel ways to what's going on right now. Small ways. There's intersectionality in everything, right? Kat began talking with Jill about her mother's spirituality. Jill seemed interested, and Kat was eager for the attention. Kat had been writing a note to Jill during math class. They were not in the same class, and it had been her intention to pass the note in the hall between classes. However, she dropped the note on the floor. Being easily distracted, Kat forgot about the note when she did not see Jill in the halls. Coincidentally, Jill had math in the same classroom the following period. She walked in, saw the note with her name on it, and picked it up. As students were not supposed to be writing, passing, or reading notes in class, the teacher confiscated the note when he caught Jill reading it. Instead of punishing either one of the girls for the crime which they had committed, he attacked the content of the note. What was worse, he sent the note to the school counselor's office. Apparently, to him, witchcraft, meditation, and candle gazing was the equivalent to devil worshipping. He seemed to forget all about what they had actually done wrong, and instead focused entirely on the content. Kat was called into the office as she penned and signed the note. The counselor explained to her that educators had a legal responsibility to make sure the students were safe. Devil worshipping was not safe, and surely her parents need to be called to be informed. According to the counselor, our teacher was very distraught upon reading the note. He was concerned that not only she was putting herself in danger, but she was also endangering another student. Kat was furious and became very defensive. Paganism was not the same thing as devil worshipping. She was insulted. The counselor tried to explain to her how she was incorrect and revisited the teacher's concern for their well-being. Kat began yelling at the counselor in anger. "What about freedom of religion? Whose business is it what I believe spiritually?" She told the teacher that she understood that they had broken school rules with the note, and she would be fine accepting whatever punishment was appropriate for writing and passing notes. However, she was outraged that she was being misjudged for the content. The counselor didn't seem at all interested in punishing her for the error in conduct. She kept refocusing on devil worshipping. Then she said that she would have to contact Jill's parents as well. Jill had been quietly sitting next to Kat for the beginning of the meeting, but was clearly frightened by the prospect of getting her parents involved. She remembered Jill describing her parents as conservative Christians who would have expressed just as closed-minded a response. Kat wanted to protect Jill from getting in trouble. She looked at the pretty girl turning white in the chair next to her, tightly clutching the sides of her chair. She redirected the conversation by again asking, "What about my freedom of religion?" The counselor responded that as a minor, the student didn't have any rights. Therefore, the freedom of religion that she kept referring to did not apply. Absolute bullshit. Kat finally burst out, "Fine, call my mother. In fact, I will call her myself and tell her right now." The counselor agreed that it would be responsible and appropriate for her to call her mother. Kat did not mention that she did not currently live with Mom. The counselor handed her the phone, and she dialed her mom's number. Once on the phone, she briefly explained what had happened with the note. The counselor watched the girl on the phone, face contorting as Kat explained that she didn't want Jill's parents to be contacted because she was concerned that they would be as close-minded as her math teacher was. Hearing this, the counselor began to protest, but the student cut her off. "My mother wants to talk to you." Kat handed the telephone receiver to the school counselor. Mama's voice was so loud that both students could hear her from where they sat. Mama repeated the same freedom of religion rights that Kat had already claimed to the counselor previously. She explained that paganism was not devil worshipping, and that as educators, they should know better. In addition, she explained that if the school contacted Jill's parents or further harassed either of the students regarding their choice of spirituality, the school would be receiving a call from her attorney. Mama made it clear she was insulted by the situation. She had an attorney on her phone list from the recent Berkeleyan lawsuit. While she was bluffing a little, reading them the Riot Act was enough to put the fear of publicity in anyone. The school counselor responded very stiffly. "Yes, ma'am, I understand. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today." Both students were sent back to class after the phone call. The school never notified Kat's father or Jill's parents. They never messed with either student about anything again. Mama had put the fear of lawsuit in their minds. The last thing they wanted was a crazy parent filing a suit against them for harassing children. They never got into trouble for passing notes. They never got into trouble for anything again that year. Kat became untouchable, and she bragged about it to her friends. Again, that was an excerpt from Chapter 8, The Devil in School. The book is called Aimless. This is based on my life experiences from my childhood. It is the first in 3 books. The second book I am currently working on writing. It is called Finding Fire. And the story will continue with Kat past her adolescence. The first book is purely her as a teenager. It ends when she's a very young adult. And there is way more to the story. But I couldn't fit it all in one book. I really hope that you look me up. You can find this book on the publisher's site at outskirtspress.com/aimless, where you can buy it directly from the publisher. On that site, there is also a digital download copy available for just $5. If you can't afford to buy the book, or this isn't quite up your alley, but you know somebody that would benefit from this, please share this video and help me spread the word. And support your local artists, writers, performers, in any way that you can in this pandemic. But be safe how you do it. Support each other. We're all in this together. Thanks.